Hi, I'm Astrologer Penny Dix, and welcome to my in-depth look at this year's Autumn Equinox. It happens on the 22nd of September 2024, when the sun will slip seamlessly into the peaceful, harmonious sign of Libra. So let's see how the next few weeks will be affected by this point in time, which leads us up over the next 2 to nearly 3 months to the winter solstice. How can the year be nearly over? We've hardly started, or at least sometimes it doesn't feel like we did. But let's have a look at the autumn equinox and how it is going to affect us. It's actually a day later than it would normally be, but this is due to leap years and the calendar, and because actually our kind of measurement of time does not fit in exactly with how the Earth orbits the sun and rotates on its own axis. So there we go. That's the easiest way I can describe the scientific side of it. But let's look at the sign of Libra, because this gives us this point in time for what is going to unfold over the next few months. Libra, of course, is about relationship, and it really does point us towards this halfway point in the zodiac, because Aries that we get in the end of March is the astrological new year. And now here we are with the sun moving into Libra, the opposite sign to Aries. Libra is also a cardinal sign. It's also an air sign and very much about harmony, peace, balance. Even though it has all those kind of harmonious energies, it's still cardinal. It takes action and can be quite definite and decisive when it needs to be. And of course, it's about relationship. Now, in our event chart, which I will get the wonderful Jerry to produce for us now, over my left shoulder. How about that then? You'll see that the sun is in the 9th house. So I think this represents that for all of us, because the 9th house represents matters at a distance, it can be long distance journeys. It can be getting news from abroad. It can be affairs overseas. It can also be higher education, education in general, teaching. It can be truth. And let me think, what else can it be, Libra? Well, it's balance and harmony. And I feel it's very much about, for us, we're going to be looking further afield. I think because it's touching the vertex at 0 degrees also. So if you look in the chart, you'll see that the 0 degrees of Libra, where the sun is actually at the same point as the vertex. Now, the vertex, just to explain, is actually just a point in space, but it's a trigger point. And the sun is coming up to be conjunct the south node in Libra, because what it's doing is it's preparing us for what is going to be the solar eclipse that is happening on the 2nd of October. But more of that later. Let's look at the general kind of shape and configuration of the aspects, because there are 1 or 2 that I really want to mention. Of course, namely, we are still very much in the energy of the full moon, partial lunar eclipse in Pisces. And today, Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. Pluto, our planet of transformation, our planet that has returned to Capricorn to tidy up, to say, come on, let's see what we can get sorted out here. Let's get this all done and dusted so we can move into Aquarius. And Pluto is squaring Venus in Libra. And they're both at the anaretic degrees of their respective signs. So Venus rules Libra. Pluto does not rule Capricorn, it rules Scorpio, but it is at the anaretic degree of Capricorn. This makes this square extra powerful. It is yet another trigger of energy from the 10th house to the 1st house. Now, this is based on universal time. So this gives us a broad kind of feel for the energy for the whole planet. So what will this square bring up for us? Venus in the sign it rules, Libra. Relationship. Pluto. Pluto is saying, for goodness sake, what is holding you up? There are decisions, changes that need to take place within certain key relationships. This can be at work because Venus is in the 10th house of this chart. This could be about world leaders needing to basically really get their act together and their dialogue together if they're going to make headway and, say for instance in the United States, gain the support of the people that they need to support the policies. Because remember, the election in the US is not about personalities, but it's become terribly personality based. It's about the different policies that each party contender is trying to represent for either the Republicans or the Democrats. And I think it's important for the American people and the rest of the world not to lose sight of that. This is about values and principles and policies. So think carefully and clearly. So Pluto really is urging the collective to transform and to come at their decision about voting from the adult side of their mind, not the ego feeling part that says, oh, I don't like him or I don't like her. This is about actually just getting those egos and personalities out the way and thinking, let me weigh up the odds. Whom do I feel would present the best policies for my country? And I'm not American, but for the US, and who would help the US become more of what it can become and get out of what has been a very challenging few years for the American nation. So this square on a personal level is about personal relationships. And it's saying you're being taken back to look at certain logistics, ways of structuring how relationships can pan out and make them much more, I was going to say user-friendly, make them better for both parties concerned. Now, let's see what else is going on, because also in this 9th house, we have the South Node in Libra conjunct what is known as the midheaven. So there's something about the next few months that feels keenly karmic. we will be reaping what we've sown. If we've sown well, we can expect good results. And those good results will be reflected by the South Node down there in the third house of communication in Aries, saying, okay, let's sit down and talk about it. Let's sort out the nitty-gritties. Let's get this clear about the next stage of where we all want to move towards. And while I'm down in that part of the chart, Saturn, retrograde in Pisces, is also there. And Saturn is making a trine to Mars. And it's not exact yet, but Mars is moving towards this trine with Saturn, and it'll be in the 7th house of this chart, which is about significant relationships when it gets there. What it's saying is good communication, good action, a bit of passion, and taking one's time to look at the dreams that one would like to manifest. That is where we find the gold. Now, also, I know it's not easy with this chart to see where the kite formation is from the full moon, but I tried to take out the other parts, but for some reason, it just wouldn't do it. So what you have to look at is Neptune at 28 degrees retrograde in Pisces in the 3rd house is actually in opposition to both Mercury, our planet of communication, and the Sun in Libra at that 0 degree, and the vertex, that trigger point. So Neptune in the house of communication is trying to give wings to dreams, to ideas. It's as if Neptune is inviting us to think more broadly, think more creatively and imaginatively, to not get bogged down with the minutiae and the details that Mercury in Virgo, the sign it rules, is still highlighting. You know, Mercury is also in opposition to Neptune. We then, of course, have this mini kind of grand trine between Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus, which is interesting because Uranus retrograde in Taurus in the 5th house of fun and creativity. So thank goodness there is going to be some light relief in the next 3 months, is actually conjunct in an outer sign conjunction with the moon at the 1st degree of Gemini. So the moon has been brought in to the mix, and the moon is the people. The moon in Gemini in the 5th house, to me, it makes me see people out on the street celebrating. There is going to be cause for celebration. Well, of course, half America will be very happy on November the 6th or 7th, and half of America won't be. But whichever half is happy will be pouring out onto the streets, celebrating with a lot of discussion, with a lot to talk about. And Uranus in Taurus is saying, don't expect what you think it's going to be, because it's not going to be. If you expect the unexpected, you won't be disappointed. But it seems that whoever should be victorious in the presidential election, there'll certainly be a portion of the people that'll be very happy about it. Attention also needs to go to the home because of that Chiron retrograde in Aries in the 4th house. The 4 quadrants of this chart, if you notice, are cardinal. We've got Aries on the IC, we've got Cancer on the descendant, Libra on the midheaven, and Capricorn on the ascendant. As we move forwards in the next 3 months, we are going to be quite caught up in this Pluto in Capricorn energy, and maybe on some levels feeling a little bit despondent, a little bit like, here we bloody well go again. Oh my God, does it never end? Can't we all somehow get on? Can't we somehow find resolutions to the problems in the world and the difficulties in our own lives? That Mars in Cancer on the descendant, in opposition to the ascendant, is it brings in the energy of home and family and the importance of home and family, which brings me back to the 4th house, where we have Chiron, and Chiron in Aries in the 4th house is saying, please people, communicate. Heal these long-held wounds. Heal this anger. Find ways to discuss it. Find ways to respond and not react. So the other planet we haven't looked at yet is our lovely big boy Jupiter in Gemini, our planet of opportunity, expansion, luck. And Jupiter can also be long distance travel. Now it's interesting, it's in the 6th house, and Gemini can be short distance travel. But we've got the Sun in the 9th house, which is long distance travel. Perhaps some of you will be thinking about taking a late season long distance journey and meeting up with friends and family. You know, but Jupiter in the 6th house is saying your working life or your everyday routine, whatever you do, is going to get super busy. Super busy. And the discussions and the talk that has to take place is enormous. Saturn, from the 3rd house of communication that Gemini rules, is saying, whoa, slow down, take it easy. And Jupiter is also squaring Mercury. So you've got both Mercury in Virgo and Saturn in Pisces, but in the 3rd house of communication, saying, don't spill the beans. Don't overshare. I mean, I don't know why I'm talking about this, because I am the worst oversharer I know. Do any of you overshare? Let me know in the comments. I'm really working on it. And as we always say, we're all a work in progress, and I'm doing my best. But it's like it goes, blah, 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 and out it comes. But there's something in this chart I'm certainly going to pay attention to, because, you know, I even give you the analogy of when we plant seeds, if we keep pulling the earth back to see if they're growing, they won't. So if we keep telling people our ideas and our plans and our dreams, it's kind of like removing the earth from the seeds we've planted. God, I wish I could learn this lesson. You have no idea how much I wish I could learn this lesson. We're always works in progress. Maybe I'll just have to keep putting this on a loop, this video, and listen back to it for myself to remind myself to stop it. So Jupiter squaring Saturn and Mercury in the 6th house is saying, don't overshare. Keep your thoughts, your ideas, and your plans to yourself. Because you know what it's like, we look so silly when they don't happen. So I think really that's all I want to say about the autumn equinox. So Jerry, you can make the chart mystically disappear. And listen, guys, healing needs to take place over the next 2 to 3 months. Common sense needs to prevail. And don't fly too high like Icarus, because you know what happened to Icarus when he flew too high. He made wings to stick on his arms out of lots of bird feathers. He was so determined to fly and be like the birds. And he used wax to fix them to his arms. Well, of course, in the cool temperatures of the earth, the wax hardened, so he was fine. He was warned, don't go too high. Do not fly too close to the sun up there in the 9th house. Well, we know how that ended. He flew too high, the wax melted, the feathers and the wings fell off, and he crashed to earth. It's a little bit like oversharing or exposing our stories. It's a little bit like our ego inflation and thinking we've won before we have. So maybe all these points I'm making in this video will somehow make sense over the coming months. We can but wait and see. So, on that note, I'd like to say thank you so much for joining me for this autumn equinox video. And please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And I so much look forward to seeing you very soon. Bye for now.